there may still be Afghans who are in Afghanistan who are on the list, who haven't made it, who will be under threat.
A breaking story. The Times reports that the British military is responsible for a data leak that put up to 100,000 Afghans at risk of death. UK government officials were left exposed when, in February 2022, a soldier inadvertently sent a list of tens of thousands of names to Afghans as he tried to help to verify applications for sanctuary in Britain. The database of 33,000 records, now seen by the Times, was then passed on, and one of the individuals who received it threatened to publish the dataset on Facebook. It was feared that it would have given the Taliban what amounted to a kill list. Successive governments have spent years fighting to keep the scandal a secret, using an unprecedented super injunction. Defence Secretary John Healey has been speaking in the Commons about it.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, I wish to make a statement on a significant data protection breach from February 2022 relating to the Afghan relocations and assistance policy. This led to the High Court granting an unprecedented super injunction and the previous government establishing a secret Afghan resettlement route. Today, I'm announcing to the House a change in government policy. I'm closing this resettlement route, I'm disclosing the data loss, and I'm confirming that the court order was lifted at 12 noon today. Members of this House, including you, Mr. Speaker, and myself, have been subject to this super injunction. It is unprecedented. And to be clear, the Court has always recognised the parliamentary privilege of proceedings in this House, and ministers decided not to tell parliamentarians at an earlier stage about the data incident, as the widespread publicity would increase the risk of the Taliban obtaining the data set.
Well, let's speak now to Sir William Patey, the former British ambassador to Afghanistan between 2010 and 2012. Good afternoon, Sir William.
Good afternoon, Trevor.
What's your reaction to this announcement?
Well, it's a spectacular data breach. I suppose it's inevitable now. Once the government had implemented the scheme to get the Afghans under threat to the UK, which I believe they've been doing over the past few years, I assume that they have rescued as many of the Afghans who are entitled to resettlement here under the Arab scheme as they could. And having drawn the Arab scheme to a close now, they are able to make public what was previously secret.
How valuable do you think this information might have been to the Taliban or any other hostile agent?
Well, certainly Afghans who had worked for the British Army or worked for NATO forces or for the British government in one capacity or another would have been at risk. Certainly the Taliban were going around looking for individuals who had been associated with the previous regime and with working with NATO. So there was no doubt that they were at risk. Providing the Taliban with a list would have made their job that much easier. It wouldn't have been the only method they had of tracking people down. And I suppose from the Afghans' point of view, given that we caused this data breach, we probably ended up bringing more of them to this country than we would otherwise have done had we not made such a spectacular mistake. So, in a sense, they might have benefited, because I know there were some problems with the Arab scheme, and certainly Afghans I knew who worked for me during there were having great difficulty getting to the UK and getting visas. So, one of the side effects might have been that the Afghans who came to the country came here quicker than they might otherwise have done.
Well, indeed, we're probably going to find out a lot more about this. It's reckoned that £7 billion of taxpayers' money had been earmarked to handle the fallout, including a covert evacuation operation, about which I suspect we'll hear a great deal more. But what about the danger to Afghans themselves? Most of those who might have been affected by this leak wouldn't have been warned that they were in danger. Would they? What do you think they are going to feel now?
Well, I'm assuming, given that many of them were brought to this country as a result of the leak quickly, they may retrospectively feel they were in danger, but I assume some of them will be grateful for having been brought to this country and resettled. There may still be Afghans who are in Afghanistan who are on the list, who haven't made it, who will be under threat. And like many Afghans, they will make their own way. Many of them gone to Pakistan, many have gone to other places, some have gone into hiding. So there is no doubt that the Taliban regime is still intent on seeking out those who they say collaborated with NATO. So those who haven't been rescued and who are still under threat will be less than happy.
The review, I think, mentioned by John Healey said that the super injunction that was imposed, essentially the gag order, might have made things worse because it actually increased the value of the data set. And we see a lot of these in movies where there's a piece of information and the more secret it is, the more valuable it is. Are you aware of such super injunctions being used in this way before?
No, first time I've heard of this level of injunction for this long. It is disappointing that there were Afghans willing to trade on the back of the possibility of threat to their fellow citizens. That's a rather disappointing aspect. That one of the people who sent the list felt an obvious opportunity to make some money. That's rather disappointing. But I can see that announcing the presence of the list might have made it less valuable, but it would have increased the threat to the individuals. And my understanding that the 7 billion, 6 billion figure that's been bandied around is the cost of the whole resettlement program, not just the result of this breach.
If you were still in office, and I know you won't know the inside details and who did what and said what when, but just assessing the situation, in the end, should someone be losing their job over this?
Well, I imagine the person who leaked it probably has. Yes, but it happened under the previous government. I don't hold ministers responsible for the mistakes of an individual, although we have a sort of collective responsibility system. But this government was picking up the pieces that that happened under a previous government. But I don't think you could hold the minister responsible for the mistake of an individual. I imagine that individual has paid a price.
Sir William Patey, thank you so much. That's Sir William Patey, former British ambassador to Afghanistan. And if you'd like to learn more about that story, there's more information on thetimes.com right now.